pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Well, thanks for being out this morning. Charlie, how are we doing with the video? Good to go? All right. I'm going to cover, as you all know, I'm sure everybody knows why you're here for the budget, right? You're not here for basketball. That's going to start in a few minutes. Okay, make it short because we're going to have that this week. You start dribbling, it's okay. All right. All right. I have a brief presentation, and as usual, I'll open up for any questions anybody has about the budget. Things we're going to cover today, the item, what went into constructing the budget, the process that we use, the information we distributed to the board, to the Budget Finance Committee, also what's up on the website and in the lobby of admin building. Factors considered when building the budget. We had some unique factors this year that we hadn't had to deal with in previous years, and budget details reviewed, and I'll break those down. The process we use, and this is kind of a big screen, but that works. In September, we actually start talking about budgets with department heads. When I say talking about budget, it's the same process every year for us. In our September staff meeting, I start to ask our department heads to think about what it takes to run their department, not only from types of items that they must have, but other items they'd like to have to grow the department, change the department, improvements we need to make, those type of things. They begin to work down that process in September. In October, we begin to kind of get a little deeper into that, and we begin receiving, when I say we, Art Carmine, our controller, and I start to receive the feedback from our department heads, either staffing related, overall budget related, capital project worksheets, all those materials start to come in. By November, we start to do departmental reviews. We actually sit down with the department head and go over everything they've submitted to us, start talking about where they are, why they feel the needs, the desires, what's in their budget, and we start to really walk through those steps in great detail with each of them. In December, we begin computing everything. It all starts to feed up into the major documents, so then we find out that's when we figure out what the impact on the assessment is. There seems to be some questions over the years that we start building from where we started. We don't know what the assessment impact on the budget is going to be until we actually complete this process. I will tell you, every year it's the same. It's much higher than what you all end up seeing. We ended this year's budget process at $67. $67 was our number when we were at this point, an increase. So again, we try to work independently with the department heads to manage where they need, but we just don't know what it's going to be until we get to this. From there, we start to pare it down even more to get down to what we believe is the most effective to present to the membership and the board. January, we begin the budget presentations. January 4th is when we actually deliver budget books. It's a 3-inch binder. This is what they look like for those who haven't taken time to see them. This is pretty much a budget book. We deliver 2 sets, one set to the Board of Directors and one set to the Budget Finance Committee. Usually the first Monday in January. And then from there, we give everyone a week to look at it, review it, and then we start the next week with the Budget Finance Committee. When I say start with them, they've had time to review the budget. We start meetings with them. Usually this year, it started Tuesday following. And we start to meet with them and walk through the tabs, what went in the budget, how we built the budget, and in great detail. The goal of the Budget Finance Committee is to review it and make any recommendations or changes they may have to the Board of Directors and obviously to us. This year's process went extremely well with Budget Finance. I thought each year it seems to have improved. Pat Supik here and team, she's the chair of that committee. They just did a great job. We had a lot of finance on the committee this year, and it really helped out. We stayed high level. We had to dig a little deep. Morning, Miss Anna. We had to dig a little deep at times in a couple areas, but they did I enjoyed the relationship work. It worked very well for us. From there, we met with Budget and Finance. That Thursday or Friday, they developed the final recommendations for any changes to the budget. From there, they make the changes, or from there, they submit that to the Board of Directors and to me for consideration. So now the board has had the budget book for over a week at that point. They've had the Budget and Finance Committee review it for that week. Most of the board members sat through all of those meetings. Okay, so the board is very involved, not actively from an engaged standpoint, because the next week's when they get their shot. So the process resets, starts all over the very next week. Same process we used with the B&F committee, starts again with the board. Advantage the board then has, they had their book the first week. They got to sit through the second week and listen to others ask questions about the budget. They get to hear the results of those questions. And then lastly, they get to get the final report from the B&F committee of what any additional recommendation. So from there, we get into where we are now. By February, our goal is to have the budget approved by the board meeting in February. We had several budget meetings already with the board of directors. We had recently this week, and we have one more scheduled for next week, next Friday, to go over the reserves one more time. So all that's been occurred. Our goal is by 25 February, the board meeting on that Saturday, to finalize the budget. Today's presentation is to give you an overview of what's in there, answer any questions, maybe what you've heard, some concerns, some questions, or anything else you'd like to see added to it. Because it's not an approved budget until the board puts a final stamp for approval. Okay? Materials given out. I already told you there was a budget book. This year, we included a different document as well. One thing the board asked me to do for a capital improvement plan. We developed a little deeper plan this year, a capital facility plan. This was given out to the board along with the budget books. Okay, it includes kind of a long-range, a 10-year look ahead of areas or items or capital projects that we might need to consider when you're looking at long-term interest for the association. This document that was created, I'll come back to that in a second. So the budget book itself is broken down to 3-ring binder I showed. It's broken down. The first section is summaries. Just gives you overall summaries from previous years, summary of some changes, those type of things. Then it goes into tabs for each of the specific departments or amenities. Okay, and it breaks it down in great detail. And then the last two sections are the reserve tab, all the reserves, all the money coming in under the reserve component, and then the capital tab. Also included with the major amenities, yacht club, golf, and aquatics, were analysis, or basically we did business cases. General overview of kind of what we're focused on, SWOT analysis, marketing impact, things that we'd like to look at, sales strategies, all that for each of the major 3 amenities were included in the book. This year, the yacht club and aquatics, obviously we did. We relied on our LU team, Landscapes Unlimited, who's our management company, to actually create their analysis, their marketing plan for the golf side of the house, as they did with the golf budget. Capital facility plan, the small binder I showed you, planning for the future needs, gave some background and planning process, kind of ideas, some things that we think we need to talk about, specific elements for consideration, capital planning improvement analysis, and then exhibits. This document is not meant to be the final, here's what we're doing. It's meant to get the process started of actually talking about not only today, but what the future of Ocean Pines should look like. Things to consider, some needs analysis of areas that we need to make some improvements on, and putting it in one document allows us to think about the impact if we make a change, if we make a modification to a facility, and make a major capital project, what impact does that have on other projects? Years past, a lot of times we get caught up into, okay, we're going to fix this element, but we don't think of ripple effect when we fix that element, what else it may have an impact. So we try to make sure we did some look ahead, and that was part of the guidance the board gave us this year. Budgetary considerations. All right, here are some of the key elements or key considerations we went through when we built the budget. OPA vision to be a premier resort community, and I'll break these down in the next couple of slides. So Affordable Care Act had an impact on us. Minimum wage increases started last year. They've had an impact on our budget. Board guidance along with the F&B guidance, finance committee guidance that they gave us after they did the review. All those things had impact on our process for building the budget this year. Okay, Ocean Pines will be a premier resort community offering exceptional value, quality of life for property owners that are diverse in age, economic status, and interest. Key element for us here, resort community. I know some don't feel like that's where we are or who we are. My family and I have been here over 25 years. I don't think we're an average community. I believe we're a premier. Our vision statement tells us that, and every year when we build a budget, we focus on it. I know there's others that believe otherwise, but until that changes, every year we build a budget, this is our first thing that we look at, first thing we focus on, kind of the guiding principle for the building of the budget. Okay, the Affordable Care Act, basically that's the Health Care Act with requirements for employers, things that we need to start to look at, considerations we need to make. Affordable Care Act was put in place to make sure everyone in the country had health care. Things that impacted us, if an employee works over 1,560 hours annually, okay, they have to be afforded health care. Changes how we approach things because we have, as you know, in the summertime, and I say summertime, for us, the seasonal from that May to September window, we go, our staffing triples in size. 5 pools come online, beach clubs fully online, all the activities, all the things that we have going on. In addition to that, we have part-time year-round employees, folks that have been working for us, not just the seasonal window I just talked about, but year-round in a part-time status. Well, we've had to relook at some of those employees and relook at how they're with us because, again, it's very easy. 1560 comes to over, what it averages is 30 hours a week. Think, okay, well, that's for part-time, we understand it. Well, these part-time employees, many times summertime, work more than that, okay, for that seasonal time frame, and then drop back to 30 hours in the wintertime. That's the way over the years it's been. We can no longer do it that way. What we have to do is manage them for 30 hours year-round. So you can imagine the impact and shuffle we have when you're looking at as many employees as we move up to the seasonal-wise and then certainly year-round. So we had to be real careful, and that had an impact on several of our decisions on what we did from staffing and manpower for our different areas. Also had some increases in minimum wage, some mandatory increases. Fortunately, that really doesn't impact our year-round. The biggest impact was seasonal part-time employees. But again, when you're part-time, when you go in that May through September timeframe, you have such an impact or such an increase down, there was some impact. Not significant, fortunately, just because of the nature of where we are, but it did have some impact in our budget considerations when you're doing averages for your FTE schedule and how much your bottom line budget is going to be for your staff. Also, things that we're required to do, and I apologize, the numbers off the side. The board guidance actually gave us guidance to look at a multi-year concept. Again, we received written guidance in November on directives from the board of what to consider when you're building your budget. Multi-year plan was one of the things in there. In other words, don't just look at this year, but look at multiple years with our decision making. That's where we developed the capital facility plan, a document that looks more than at just this year. Focus on the OPA vision statement. I told you every year that is a starting point for us. We also looked at a multiple-year plan for IT. We've already started some work on that, and we're moving down the process. There are budgetary considerations for that. Plan long-term standing capital facilities approach, again, referring back to that capital document. Capital items, expenditures for 1560. One of the things the board had asked, let's identify anything that we either would have completed before the end of the year we're in, or things we didn't think we were going to we identified those when we were going through the process, and during our budget meetings with the board of directors, we shared those. Road resurfacing. Road resurfacing's in there. It's approximately this year $500,000. Just so you know, our road resurfacing comes directly from casino funds. So we've accumulated 2 years. This will be our second year of accumulation. We'll put out for bids, so we'll do road resurfacing this year, and then general focus on skill sets to perform duties in each of the areas. Money's appropriated for IT, which we've done. Realistic amenity, revenue, expense budgets. We believe we've done that. Accomplished with focus on increase in marketing. We believe we've done that. A lot of questions came up on that during the process from the review process. We'll also talk about staffs, positions, major capital projects, and business cases. We've accomplished all those in what was in this year's budget. From there, we received the information, the guidance from the Budget and Finance Committee. Here are some of the things that they pointed out. FT expense, one of the things that they were concerned about is the managing the full-time equivalent, basically your employees. We did review, fortunately, MACO, Maryland Association of Counties, had a pretty intention to go online and look at it. They did an evaluation of all salary studies for all the counties. We're not a municipality, so we recognize we also have to dig a little deeper. So we looked at what positions, what pay, what the benefits package for individual positions in the area are, not only with the county, but also anywhere else we can find the information. The challenge that we always have is we're as close to being a municipality without actually being called a municipality. And folks say, well, we're not. You can't compare to that. Well, we're the largest year-round community. We have all the services in the municipality. Reasons would say they're good comparisons to look at. So we pulled that information for consideration. IT position in the budget, which is in there. We're working on an HR audit. I'm having a third-party person come in and review our HR to figure out what we might need to fill that position, the type of HR, based on where we are, what we have accomplished, maybe some shortfalls we have. So we're in that process now. Best price service consolidation, and that's what referring to the purchasing. If we purchase equipment for one department, do other departments need it? So we can basically get qualified versus just buying independent, so we get better pricing on it. So we do that. Membership fee, we still need to work on this. We're still doing some analysis on, and one thing is the Budget and Finance Committee, but also the board has been very focused on what do we charge our members for programming, activities, pricing for anything we do versus folks that are non-members. And the point being, or the concern being, our members pay the dues that help fund these items. Shouldn't they get a discount when they provide participate in services? And so we're tracking those in more detail. Part of our IT solution, part of our software solution that we're making upgrades to, we'll actually track that even better with the folks coming in and using our facilities. So that's all part of the IT upgrades and software upgrades. Then we do presentation and analysis. We do it with Budget and Finance. We do it with the board. We're doing it here with you. And then complete for major projects, the reserve study. There's a reserve study that has been completed. When I say completed, the reserve study, the board asked to outsource to have a reserve study to see where we are. And that's a big point of contention in the community. Do we have too much in reserves? Do we have enough in reserve? Those type of things. So they engaged last fall to have a third-party DMA associates that actually came in and have done analysis on everything we have, all our components, to include looking at life cycle for each of not only the building, but the components of the building. When I say components, HVAC systems, plumbing systems, those types. They've completed more or less steps 1 and 2. Step 1 was review our information. Step 2, make it bigger. I'm going to be upset. You're going to call me that. Make it smaller. I know. I'm already trying to work through it. Thank you. I appreciate it. I was waiting for it to get so big I could only see one word at a time. Then I stressed. Fortunately, I've written it, so I know what most of it is. So what we've done so far is before that reserve study is fully complete, there are a number of steps in the process. Reviewing our documentation, coming out to do an actual analysis. They had engineers, they had folks coming in, inspecting our buildings, looking at the elements of the building. They went back, captured all that information, put it in writing into their format. Interesting, from there, the document it's broken down into 4 primary areas. The smaller components would, as an example, when I say smaller, just from a report status. We did roads, as an example, as one component. Well, it's a 60-page document broken down in great detail. So the 3 smaller elements are 60, 70-page documents. The bigger one, which is all-encompassing of the major facility, actually jumped up to about 250-some pages. So overall, it's going to be a 500-plus page document, give or take a few. With real fine print, they've broken down in great detail. I share that for you because it's not a quick, easy process for them to do or for us to review. So we're still technically in draft stage with the document. The next step, just so everybody knows, the board was given a 3-ring binder with it. We printed for each of them to review. They're going to review that over the next week or so. From there, any concerns, anything we missed, and every time I've been through it, we found a couple items we missed, something we overlooked. We believe all the major things and most of the minor, if not all, are in there now, but that's why we're getting another set of eyes from the board of directors review on it. They'll review it. Any questions, concerns they have as it pertains to any items in there will be filtered through me. I'll send it to DMA so they can make any changes or modifications for missed items. Then they're going to come in and do a review with us as a board, sit down and review and answer any questions, and we're going to talk about funding application, funding solution that needs to be in. Once that's complete, they go back, they finalize any changes the board has requested, then the document becomes final. So I wanted to make sure I covered that. There were some questions this week about we need to get that available to everybody. It needs to be something for review. It's still a review document, folks. You never want to give you something that's incomplete because all it does is open up a lot more questions. And we've had time to get through that. You know, it's something we need to strongly look through, and there's a lot to it. So just bear with us on it. But that's one of the things that were required. It's one that has been accomplished. And 98% complete because I think we're really close to the finish. And next few weeks or so, we'll have it all wrapped up. Okay, the budget. I'm going to break it down for you. Remember I told you the budget books. The first part gives you the summary. It gives you all of the operating departments. When I say operating departments, mostly the expense side that typically don't drive a lot of revenue is how I look at it. You know, the areas that we're spending money to maintain, to do our business, to keep us safe, all those items. Right side ends up being the amenities. The amenities we're actually driving some revenue to the organization through one element or another. All right, so that's how the book's broken down. That's what goes into the binder. The last few pages or last sections, reserves and capital, which feed into all these sections. Some major items we want to make sure we highlighted. I had some questions about to make sure I pointed out this morning of interest. Beach Club bathroom renovations are included in the budget. Country Club and Police Department rehab replacement, there's been some monies appropriated to do studies, to do research, to do the homework, whatever you want to call it, to get started to have those two elements updated, rehab, completed, new, whatever. What to do with them, we don't know yet, but identify we need to get started looking at those. Road resurfacing, bridge work is in there. We recognize we're going to straddle. We're going to put an RFP out to do the repairs for 2 of the bridges. That should go out in the February timeframe. From there, by the time it gets back, it gets bid. We have money in the budget to do some of that work now. We put some additional money to make sure we have enough to complete that bridge repair work. Computer and phone system upgrades, they're in the budget. Sports court, pool, and deck. If you recall, we were going to try to do it this year, but the timing didn't work as well for us. Kind of slowed it down. Went back. The RFP's out. Now, the goal is to get that information in the next 30, 60 days. Award the bid for a July project. That would be July and August. Timing on that for the sports court pool is the other pools are open. So we'll have that accomplished this year. And then other items, there's a whole host of things in the budget for consideration, big and small replacement items for most part. Some key elements with the budget. The budget does include the long-term funding strategy. And I'm going to give you 3 different names, okay, because there's a lot of back and forth. Started with the 5-year funding plan. Last year it was named the Legacy Plan. This year there's talks of changing that name to Major Capital Projects. Okay, so it's still the same plan. Started 6, 7 years, 8 years ago with recognition that we had major capital projects that we need to address here in the community. There was each year that escalated for the first 5 years. Once it reached a certain point, it would level off, and that was the intent was to use that funding as a way to tackle major capital projects. Okay, we've included that, kept that in the budget for this year, and its full amount. Understand that element is actually reserve funding. It seems to get confusing with folks whether it's reserve or not. It's reserves. It's just we line it up in a different column so we recognize that's the money we're raising for major capital projects. Okay, it's all under reserve. You have your historical reserve plus legacy or major capital, whatever we end up renaming it this year, equals your total reserve contribution. So that is in the budget. It's a meaningful way to measure, keep an eye on, a way of transparency for the membership to see when we're spending on major capital projects, it's identified and we can say which of the funding buckets is coming. But not to be confused, it's all reserve fund. It's all reserve replacement fund. It's just a different way to look at it. Okay. This is the final piece, and this is in the budget book. It's also in the, like I say, in the lobby. It's online if you want to look at it in more detail. But this, we break it down every year. We show you where the what this year's impact or budget considerations, how it impacts the assessment, what areas, pluses and minuses in each of the departments. We try to do it at that level. It's easier for you to look at and go, okay, here's what's impacting our budget dollar-wise. So you see the subtotal, $27 is the increase for all the operational side of the house. That's actually amenities, it's a net $15 positive. You see the bracket, which means it lowers the assessment. And remember, amenities, the money's coming in for them, so of course it would have a positive impact. But, and I apologize for the size. Overall, it gives you the differences between the two. And the bottom line, which really is the very bottom here, with the recent changes we had, last year's budget $921, this year's budget $941, it's a $20 increase is what's netted out for this year. So this year's assessment, as it stands today, is at $941 for the base assessment. And say as it stands today, we're still going through reserves, we're still going through capital, which may have some more impact on coming weeks. Now, the question I have that I get asked every year, and I want to make sure I hit it this year. What do we get for our assessment? But it's going up. It's this or that. Step back and look at what our assessment pays for holistically, as opposed to dollars up and down. We have all our administrative services, emergency services, public works services. These are normal. Any of the towns, any of the municipalities, anything around us, these are kind of standards that go in a budget. Should be no surprise to anybody. In addition, our assessments actually go into areas like yacht club, our major amenities, yacht club, marinas, beach club, country club. So our assessments help pay for these amenities. Okay. In return, we have immediate access. Yes, you pay when you go buy food and beverage. We're not giving free food, free beverage away. We got that. But having immediate access to those. We have 5 pools, as you all know. So our aquatics between sports course, swim and rack, splash pad, snack bar. We also have the yacht club, Mumford's Landing pool, which also has the baby pool, and then our beach club pool. Many, many things that a lot of people don't think about that also go into the budget is all the activities associated with it. Family fun nights, fitness classes, summer camps, dive-in movies, mermaid swim, swim lessons, facility rentals at the pools. We've started doing this recent years, which is offset the cost. Lifeguard lessons, along with junior lifeguard program. I won't go into a lot of detail, but that program has exploded in the last 2 years. We actually have parents bringing kids down from Baltimore to take a junior lifeguard program and then drive back. It's a just neatest thing, some of the things we're doing down there. Recreation parks, again, your budget, your assessment, these all go into all the activities, which includes Rankin Parks also oversees the racket facility, which currently has the tennis courts, also tennis. They also look at all the other programming and activities they do, Freedom 5K, fitness classes, summer camps, facility rentals, family fun night. I put pickleball there, and for anybody's ball, I didn't exclude you from the racket facilities. What I did was try to make sure everybody understands that we still recognize pickleball, we just don't have specified courts for them at this. So I just kept it separate, but it is a big activity and a growing activity. Also, and again, I'm pointing these out, we all don't use all of them, I recognize them. These are all part of where your assessment dollars go. This is all part of what's fed into it. Concerts in the park, 4th of July, number of festivals and celebrations, flea market, big truck day, family kite day, movies in the park. I share these because tree lighting and meeting space, 2 big ones for us, the meeting space. So that all goes into your budget. I want to make sure I point them out because they're included in it. It's something that we don't think about. We say, well, the assessment change or increase or what have you. We're paying for a lot of things to give a lot of access, a lot of enjoyment, a lot of activities for our members here. Farmers market, playgrounds, launch spaces, dog parks, you name it. We pretty much have a little bit of everything throughout the community. And again, I think it's important to point it out because our assessment dollars pay for that. A portion of it and everything that we send in actually goes a portion out for all these items. You start thinking about it, and I said, all right, well, how do we compare it to the other? Well, and again, I know some are going to say we're an HOA, we're not a municipality. I don't know what else to compare it to. Okay, we're not like a condo with one building. We're closer to a municipality than anything if you try to look at our makeup. So I went back and tried to look at what municipalities, what the taxes are, and I know it's bad to say we pay taxes, but our assessment, some call it a tax. Fine. Look at what it costs to live in Snow Hill, Berlin, Pocomoke, Ocean City, all the areas in Worcester County, all the towns in Worcester County. And I also pulled Salisbury, Pittsville, and Willards. If you look at what we all pay county and state tax, obviously Wacomico County is a little different than Worcester. But if you look at the tax rate, the state tax we pay, and then your town tax, we're still the cheapest community to live in. So despite the fact, I get, the assessment's up. Okay, it is. We are recommending an increase this year, but we're still cheaper than any other municipality. And think of everything that's included in that assessment. Pretty special what we have. Back to, yes, we are a premier community. We're not an average community. We offer a heck of a lot for the assessment dollars that we have associated coming in. So I just wanted to point that out. This will be, I can get you this additional information, but there's a link to a website. You can just jump right on municipalities, and you can see what every county municipality charges, and it breaks it down to every township or town as well. So we pulled it off the website yesterday. All right, we're going to go into question mode. That's either a happy duck or a mean duck. I haven't decided yet, so I wanted to wait to see how the questions came at me this morning. So there's your budget presentation. I'm sure I'm going to have questions, so let's go at it. Where are we? Really? A great job that I don't have any questions? You're all excited about it? Is that where we are? That's awesome. I knew hands would go up. All right. Yes, ma'am. It's in the budget. There's money appropriated for it. I can pull out the number. Part of the challenge I'm having right now with the Mancla Meadows project is we had a project number. And for people that don't know, Mancla Meadow project is inclusive of playground changes, pickleball courts, new platform courts, a change in parking lot to meet all these requirements, stormwater management, a number of different things went into it. Because of some of the required change for stormwater management, those type of items, it drove the cost significantly higher than we had anticipated. So what we're now doing is regrouping, and we're looking at putting in phases. And it's something I explained before the other day. We're going to come back by the February board meeting, if not sooner, and give the board some ideas of what we would recommend so we can get the project moving in a scaled or phased down stage. Now some are saying, well, it's still going to cost. We had one bid for the entire project, came in at $748,000. 3 times what we budgeted for the whole project. So when something like that happens, you kind of go, holy smokes, we got to regroup once. So that's where we are. It's our intent moving with it. We think if we manage it in smaller pieces, we'll be more economical with the overall project. Okay. Yes, sir.
You didn't mention trucks.
Really?
What truck is that by?
The hot dog truck? How did I know it was coming? Okay. No, I'll give you some updates on it. But there you go, the hot dog truck, which was reported for sensationalism to create energy. And it certainly did, trust me. Of a budget of this size, the amount of energy that's come at us for a hot dog truck has been very, very interesting. I'm not going to go through the emails. Some of the really fun emails. These were just 3 of them, but I did try to make it a little fun because of the stress that came at it. Oh, it's not going to do it for me on the screen. I actually had the Oscar Mayer Wiener song. It was pretty damn funny. We've been taking bullets all week about this. Let me give you kind of a, sorry, Art, I tried to play it, it wouldn't play. I was ready for the question. Here's where we are. It started out, let me give you the inception of it. Last year, those that know, we were serving on the yacht club deck on the marina side. We had a grill out. Okay, and we were doing kind of grab and go food from the grill to serve the needs of the community members that didn't want to wait and sit down and have dinner. They wanted to come here to the bank, eat it, or go to the tea bar, but just to grab something quick. So we put the grill out there. It was going extremely well until, of course, the health department comes down and says, can't do it. So I had to go down, meet with the health department, talk about what the requirements are. Based on their requirements, the only way that we're allowed to do it is if we build a separate grill area. We do the treatment department sink. We do the wastewater. You have to build something, a permanent station, a permanent item there to be able to grill out on our deck. Okay? But you could have a food cart. This is where the conversation started, and do the same thing, but it can't be a permanent fix. Food cart's able to give you the elements you need without doing permanent drains, permanent fixtures, permanent. So, okay, well, it's an option. Always look at it, and this was end of the season last year, August timeframe. So we start building through that process. Well, through the budget process, we start looking at food cart, and we're thinking, do we really want a food cart to service our yacht club? At the same time, we've had for the last 2 years a competing need. We want to have food at first our Mumford's Landing pool. Okay, that's an area where we have a lot of families participate and having food there. We were considering getting a couple golf carts and a micro system put in. The order would go in, it would go to the kitchen, then someone would do food running back and forth. So we looked at that as an. Well, it was okay. We need to kind of take another step back. Let's look at what we believe our food needs throughout the community. So then we start looking at family fun nights. We start looking at concerts in the park. We start looking at movie nights in the park. We start looking at big truck day. All these elements where we believe having food service, because it gets requested a lot of us, would be advantageous. Okay? So now we're expanding our thought on a food trail. Okay, this cart can pull behind. Then you start to break it down into manpower hours. Okay, now I have to have 2 vehicles. If I have a trailer, that's got to be tagged, and they need a truck to pull it. So now I have two elements. Then I have to have someone qualified to pull the trailer. Again, I'm giving you kind of a long version, but this is all the things that went into our thought process. So then from there we said, wow, do we really want to do it? Now I have to have someone qualified, or I have to have some public works that knows how to pull a trailer, move it, and set it up. But the health requirement says you can't take stuff out of your freezer till the morning that you're going to use it. So it just created some issues. So then we said, okay, how do I make that smaller? Food truck. It's all in one, and one person can drive it, that type of thing. That's where it started, and that's how it evolved to this. And then we started to go to look at the department heads, talk with our Quacks director, where her needs were, where she had the most need and capacity with the requests she gets. Talk with our Rec and Parks director about the requests they have for food, for beverages, those type of things. Look at things like the farmers market, where we put it out there for hot chocolate, light refreshments, those type of things. So all those things started to swirl around, which led us to the final recommendation, not of a hot dog truck, but of a food truck that serves everything. As a matter of fact, just as we went as far as creating the actual breakdown of menus, just so you know, I want to make sure that I hit some of those menu items. We have, and this is from, we had our chef create the menus of things that we can pre-prepare and then have heated up or cooked quickly in something like a food truck or food pass. Fried shrimp basket, clam strips, pineapple marinade mango, Hebrew national hot dog, sliced pit beef, grilled sausage sandwich, Cuban paninis, wings, cheesesteak egg rolls, crab cake sliders, corn dogs, there's the dogs, hot dogs, Cuban paninis, kids meals, chicken tenders, mozzarella sticks, hot dog, cheeseburgers. Again, we've got 5 menus based on where we would use it. So that's where it started. So it's anything but a hot dog truck. The other thing is one of our members at the meeting this week actually at the board meeting brought up that one of the local catering companies actually does that, and the owner lives in Ocean Pines, and he recommended we talk to him about how it's working, if it's working, that type of thing. I told him we would certainly do that because, again, during the budget process, we're trying to put ideas out there, ways to improve the service or products we offer to our members. And then from there, we keep evolving. And again, remember, we started from not being able to cook on the patio anymore to where we are with all the other servicing.
Okay.
Long story, but I want to make sure I pointed that out.
Now, you mentioned a lot of places. So
Yes.
It can't only be one place.
Absolutely.
Let's take the yacht club to begin with. Why don't you think about having, I've seen this done in hotels, they have young ladies walking around taking orders. Everything's cooked in the kitchen. You can have radio in, you can order around. Someone else could bring it out, I don't know. But you wouldn't have the cost of the truck.
Okay.
Trucks, again, can only be one place. You can't bring it in.
Okay.
So I don't know. Now, other place, you and I have worked together on a complete fucking hamburgers.
Oh, yeah.
Promotion for Mike.
We've worked together now.
We worked
Yes,
together. We never had a problem. That's a Garrison. We never had a problem. Somebody there.
Okay.
No, never problem. I can't. We do that, or you approach Kiwanis. So you didn't have to lay out the truck. That's
Okay. Appreciate the input on that.
Yeah, you know. Kiwanis is some of the things.
No, I appreciate it. That's why we're here, feedback.
Wrong enough. My point, I guess my point about it is not the fact, I understand where you come from having to try and add value to get food service out. My question is, when you start thinking about the thing, why don't you think how we make money rather than put out money? I mean, all you have to do is invite, there's probably 15 food trucks here to Rehoboth now. Milton has one every season, and they have at least 8 there in the food truck day. Why wouldn't we just invite them, charge them a fee? And that way we make money. We don't outlay any money whatsoever. And we get different trucks in here on a weekly basis. And that way we don't have to worry about it. We don't have to staff it. We don't have to worry about losing money on bad food. We don't have to do anything. Just ask them to pay a fee, come on out, set them up over here. Somebody will do it in the morning at the farmer's market. Somebody will do it at the thing in the park on Wednesday nights or Thursday nights. It's easy. And it's an income stream. That's what I'm looking at. I mean, just make it an income stream rather than outlay of funds. Then you have a staffing person. Then, oh Lord, here we go. Now we're losing money on a food truck. Another negative item. That's just my opinion.
No, and just so everybody knows, he brought up talk with Einstein's, was it? The gentleman you refer to. Rosenfeld, thank you. So with that understanding, folks, we did look at that. We did consider that. We felt this was a better option. Again, I'm going to continue, despite what people understand, I will continue to throw ideas and creative ways to do different things. Doesn't mean everything's going to work. Doesn't mean everything gets approved. But I'll continue to do it. The emails are ridiculous and nasty and horrible, unnecessary. I will keep putting the ideas out because that's my board has the ultimate approval to accept or reject any of the items. That's part of why we talk about it. That's part of being a homeowners association. We put it out there. The biggest concern I have is putting it out there accurately, understanding what we're doing with it, not sensationalizing it in one way or another. Put it out there in a factual manner, and then we can discuss it and figure out if it works or doesn't. Yes. Woo! Okay. I think, Doug, yours was up first, and I'll come back to you, Jerry. Yes?
Real quick, Bob, I know that there's numbers that throw around for acquisition.
Yes.
I'm more concerned with any estimates you might have on operation of the truck in years 1, 2, and 3, or to all things associated with insurance, maintenance, staffing, permits, and those kinds of things, food acquisition, disposition, and disposal. Do we have an idea of what we think that would cost?
We do. The only things that we didn't answer are the actual insurance costs. And one of the board members asked, we'll certainly get that. But the staffing, the food acquisition, yes, we have.
I saw someone mention, I'm trying to back for myself, but someone mentioned some sales and revenue projections that might have been overly optimistic. And I just wanted to know if it has thought been put into, really vetting those numbers. And if so, and they don't really meet those projections, should we decide to go that route, carry deficit going into subsequent budget?
Sure.
Had that kind of discussion?
We've had that in great detail. I don't put anything in there that I don't believe is accurate. I get things from the department heads, and we scrub it. It's been reduced twice with the revenue expectations on. Okay? With that being said, the goal would be to pay for it as quickly as possible. So our estimate shows a year. It may be 2. But I don't think we have to go past 2 years based on, we have some experience when you're looking at sales, and this is where we have the advantage over some other folks that may not operate restaurants. We have a snack bar that was successful this year at the Swim and Rack. We've had years in the past, for years it was open for anybody that's been here for any years, and then a number of years ago we shut down for some reason. We re-engaged last year, and we were successful. We have a beach club that offers similar type of menu item that we put in the book, to make these offerings. So we know what the cost of preparing and putting that food out. We know that. And it's grab-and-go type of food. So we have the ability and understanding with 3 potential food service operations, snack bar, Ocean State Beach Club, and then the full service with the yacht club. And each of the people that work in those areas, we sat and talked in great detail. Are these realistic, unrealistic? So yeah, it wasn't me throwing the numbers. I had much smarter people around me when we came up with them, but where we felt we could realistically land on. So yes, a lot of time was in. But good question. I mean, the only thing we didn't do is the insurance side, rather minimum, but we'll certainly get that. I mean, we recognize that. And I'm sorry, Jerry, you had your, okay. And then, all right, we'll go, yes, ma'am.
What happens to the Kiwanis Aqua
Well, do you know how many times Qantas has been out serving the hot, because it came up this week, serving hot dogs at concerts in the park?
I don't know.
Yeah, they stopped. I don't know why, but
No sales, that's why.
there you go, no sales.
Fans.
Maybe hot dogs.
Who's losing
Whoa,
money?
okay. Again, so I'm told, okay, because it's first thing out, well, you're digging in Qantas. You're not serving it. I'm not digging anything. As a matter of fact, we like to be supportive of our social groups, our community groups, because that's really, they're the areas that make this a premier. I'm going to keep saying it because I believe. But I can't ask Kiwanis to sit for 2.5 hours or 3 hours at the swim and rack, or at the Mumford's Landing pool, which is one of our major strategies. Put it there, food service for that pool between that 11 and 2 o'clock all summer long. How do I ask non-employees to sit there and offer more than just hot dogs? You know, that's when we started thinking about those things, and that's where we started to go a little deeper and how can we expand it to meet some needs.
So if Kiwanis wants to do it, do you allow them to do it at a certain spot?
Here's what I can tell you. We believe we've best. We've looked at all of them. Outside, looking at a community group, looking at a third-party vendor, we believe this is the best option. Board says no, regroup, look at something else. I'm concerned looking at something else for a number of reasons, but we'll just leave it at that. And I'll go to Miss Anna and I'll come back this way. Yes, ma'am.
Oh. Well, first of all, I want to wish everybody a Happy New Year, which I haven't been able to talk. What I wanted to say is you have been excellent as far as the country club is concerned. You've been gave us John, who is so good, and we really appreciate it, and I wanted to thank you for that. Now, this is not with the budget, but a beautiful girl came to my house last night and presented me with a beautiful bouquet of flowers for my 90th birthday. Well, I was flabbergasted. It came from the Ocean Pines Association. So it made me, really feel. So I'm being it's Girl Scout time and we don't have our cookies yet. I want to present the board with a box of Girl Scout treat. Please, I'll see that you get a box.
Thank you, Miss Anna.
Thank you.
Divided into 8,000.
Sure. And we'll go here. I'll work my way back. Yes, sir.
I'm having a little trouble trying to rationalize.
Okay.
You got a kitchen here, you got a relatively new kitchen at Yacht Club, okay, or brand new.
Yes, you will.
Okay, and let's make the things work that are already there, going off another endeavor to see if it's going to pay off. As far as the revenue stream, it's going to take a lot of hamburgers, hot dogs, what else you're going to sell out of this crop to break even on $55,000, that's the initial outlay, even if you recoup the expenses, rising. Okay, how long is that thing going to last? Or is this going to be one of those, try it, you'll like it, but it doesn't pan out?
Again, I got to put ideas out there. I believe it'll work. I believe we can make it successful. I believe we have venues to play it in an economical way, or I wouldn't have put it in there. I understand there's rationale on both sides. I believe this works. Again, we're going to have opinions, and that's fine. I'm going to keep moving. I'll come back this way. You've already had your talk. You two in the back. I'm kidding. No, go ahead.
Sounds like Washington. Winners and losers. Unfortunately, sounds like the food.
Okay. Yes, sir. And I'll come back to you. Okay. Yes. Yes.
Haven't we had $100,000 budget the last few years?
Okay, the question is IT infrastructure. I'm just repeating it because I was told I can't hear. So IT infrastructure, have we had items in the budget over the last, it's been more than a couple of years, to make improvements? Yes, we have.
So I noticed that in the budget this year, you have over $300,000 for computers, phones. Is that included? Is that part of the IT?
That's absolutely part of the IT solution.
Now, are you going to hire an actual IT person, or are you going to subcontract out IT or IT?
Yeah, the question with IT, just in case you didn't hear, was what are we doing with the basically 250 is for the IT upgrade. Then there are computers, some other components that are separate replacement. So what is our goal or how we intend to manage through that process? First is we already went through a process of understanding and analyzing the departmental needs for software side of the house. Okay, understanding how they use it, what they need, those types. So we believe we've clearly identified how our departments, what programs or software they use, and does it meet the needs or do we need to make some changes? So the last couple of years, we've made some changes with some of that software deployment, okay? So now we believe we've identified with the user, what each department or each area, what they're going to use, which makes it a lot easier for us to make the adjustment on what to choose from an IT solution. Through that process, I've been fortunate enough to interface with some community members that have a lot more IT experience from a evaluation and deployment than myself, and they agreed that was a great first step. That's where you should start the process. Before we engage to hire an IT person, which is in the budget, we need to know what the end game is going to look like, because I don't want to hire someone with one skill set. We go in a deployment strategy of a different skill set, and then they don't match up from the full-time position. So that's what's held us up from hiring a full-time IT position. We do use third-party vendors to help support our IT needs now. Okay, we've been doing that. We've used 2 of the local vendors very aggressively. We've analyzed the service we get from them. We've analyzed what their strengths and weaknesses are as major vendors, and they do it very differently with their IT solution. We also, last year, and I don't want to give you the exact time on because I don't have it, we actually did some bidding where we had some potential IT solutions presented, but they were 2 very different solutions. One was a hosted solution on putting 2 new servers in for us, and we host everything. One was hosted on the web, an external hosting solution. 2 very different deployments. So we are looking at all of those.
But I've started at some time because looking for years, and frankly, everybody's got one of these. Every time you go anywhere, you should be able to put it on a server and use it as a member of Ocean Pump. I mean,
Okay.
It should be that.
It's not that easy.
I know it's not that easy. I work for companies that use IT, but they change as computer age changes. They
Agreed.
They update every year.
Agreed.
We have to start something. You have to at least put it out.
We
there.
believe we've started. We need to pick the pace up. I agree with you 100%, and it's our intent to do so. Think about some of the things we've done in recent years that are all directly pointed in that direction. One, the deployment of the new types of cards that we give our memberships. If you ever turn them over and look on the back, there are 2 different prints on the back of the card, a magnetic strip and a barcode. Reason for that accomplishes technology on either way that we deploy it. Secondly, Beach Club started using the scanners to scan people in and out for the Beach Club parking with the new passes. Okay, that was a couple years ago. So we've been taking tactical steps with the understanding we need to come up with a strategic plan for our IT implementation. The other thing that's really changed in the recent 18 months, and you all have seen the trucks out there, maybe you're not recognizing, is the application of fiber optics, fiber lines. 2 years ago, we didn't have access. It was very, very limited, or if we were going to access it, the expense when we did an estimate, see what would take to get IT to the main building, and then from there, how to deploy it out, astronomical. Well, now, because it's all around us, county put it in, the county, I don't know if you've been following, county had a plan where they were tying all their structures on fiber optics. That pipe, what that basically does is give extremely fast pipe speed. That changes our approach to IT completely. Because a lot of ours were line of sight, there were a lot of patches over the years to make things work. We need an overall larger strategy. So I recognize it, and I've got to tell you, I'd love to get to it because it's a struggle for me day to day sometimes doing stuff. And that's just one person if you look at everybody. So we recognize it. We will accelerate that process, and we will get IT identified and worked on this year. I can tell you that. Again, with the board's approval, obviously. Okay, Mr. Reynolds.
Yeah, thank
If you say hot dog truck, I'm not talking about it.
I'm going to say hot dog.
I knew you were.
What I wrote about the hot dog truck
and it's disappointing for a writer, but apparently the sarcasm used and the humor used did not convey what I was really trying to convey. And here's what I was trying to convey. I was trying to convey a failure of management, both at the board level and our overall management level in this community, that we would spend $5 million, put up a brand new, very nice facility over there at that yacht club. And the failure of management was in the design and the layout and the overall business plan for that facility. Now, if you think about it, we have parking problems over there, so we can't put tables out on our deck. The deck is the most used place in that yacht club in the summer. We have weekends. Now, I don't know what went on at that time, but it's obvious that we did not give proper planning to the expenditure of $5 million of association member money. And now, we're going to have a food truck sitting in front of that building, or somewhere around that building, for 4 nights a week. And we're going to sell hot dogs, and we're going to sell other stuff out of that food truck. That's the plain fact of the matter. And I think it's disappointing, and I think that the failure of management to properly handle that facility leads me to believe, as an association, I have little faith in allowing this management to spend $3, $4, $5 million on other facilities, because I'm disappointed that we didn't handle that project. And that was the first major project that's been done in this community for a very long time. It was not handled properly. Okay. And we knew at the time that we didn't have proper parking, but we pushed ahead and did things because we wanted that big building. We didn't think how it would be used. The bars, people complain about, are too small. The traffic movement within the structure is bad. The placement of the tiki bar is bad. Now we're talking about spending money for awnings because we need to have shade at the tiki bar. I met with you in your office a year before that building went up, and I said to you, that tiki bar should be in the shade of the building. You said it's not a problem. We'll put trees or something, palm trees. But we didn't give the thought it should have went in. And I think that a private business company, private business person, would have given much more thought to what was being, how that building was designed, how it would be used, and very disappointing. Thank you.
Right. Well, and again, you did that, so here, let me give you the flip side. Let me answer some of the questions. The final design, okay, we designed a smaller building and a larger building. The public we had more public meetings than on any other facility. The final design was driven by public input. When I say public, our members' input. You all had input. It's easy to rewrite history and say, here's what we did or didn't do.
You knew that the county probably was not made
So,
aware of those parking problems. I don't try to fight.
Okay, again, I didn't interrupt you. Had you say I'd like to answer it because you get frustrated, but I'm going to challenge you, Joe. It's wrong. Here's where. We did go through a number of stages with the project to include a smaller one facility. Matter of fact, my first design that I liked was a grill type of operation. I felt that was a good move. Membership didn't want that, so we changed it. We had an open flow on the first floor with the second floor being the primary dining. Said no, we want the closed-in first floor. I can go through step by step of things that membership shared to help drive us to the building we're in. Okay? So it was an inclusive process. You may not like it, others may not like it, and that's okay. Facts of the matter are, it's there. It's currently profitable. First time in recent history. When I say recent, we look back at our numbers. We can't find a year in the last 15 or 20 years where we've been at this level of profitability at this time period. So when you say that it's not working, is that factually inaccurate? We do a controller's report. We're in the black right now in that building. Now, the biggest concern I have is January, February, March is the slide trying to match up the balancing that to end the year in profitability. And April, thank you. Okay. again, my primary concern, as I stated, January, February, March, April to start to get back out. So I'm thinking meet those, which is why they excluded it. Thank you. So there are reasons that we're where we are today, and we didn't do it independently. We had many meetings, and I like the fact that we had input to make the changes and the upgrades and making it bigger or smaller. So I think it was a great project, and I completely on the opposite side, because it was a good project.
Good, Bob. Good.
I am, but you know what? I'm factual, my friend. So yes, sir. We'll go here. And I'm sorry. Can you hold one moment? I know I passed you up 2 times. So yes, ma'am. Come back.
And I'm going to talk.
No. Listen, we did something for you, so don't hit me too hard.
But I'm going to tell you, I think
You two are together, right? I know.
we have enough to much less food. And I agree with Joe here that we have all that kitchen down there and kitchen in here and we can do that. And I that my team food yeah.
Okay, thank you. And I'm sorry, Skip. Oh, here, right here. You have your okay. Yes, sir.
I just want to challenge you a little bit on that membership in the building of the yacht club, because quite frankly, the whole membership did not have all the input on that yacht club that you are alluding to. I believe that was probably more of a committee supposedly representing, or at least telling you, what the community wanted or did not want. The community at large did not have all the input. Better yet, when you put out the referendum, if you would, to vote on the yacht club,
yes,
it was so worded because everybody in the community did want to replace the yacht club. Hardly anybody wanted that gigantic building over there in the configuration that it ultimately came out. So okay. I think that you're absolutely wrong in saying the membership had all this input in that small size, large size. That was not really true.
Okay, here's what, let me the other side. We had public meetings. You're right. There's little or no turnout. That I think, of course, you come out to meet. Did weekends, did nights, did daytime. You know, see, so we did it. So if you don't come out and participate, you know. Secondly, the referendum, we had one of our largest turnouts with referendum response. I think the largest in our history, but I don't want someone to say lies about it. But we have one of our largest, and over 60% agreed with what we laid out. What more can we do when we, I mean, I'm just saying, could the process be improved? I'm sure there are things we could do to make improvements, but we did everything. And it wasn't a 1 month, 2 month. This was a 1.5 year project.
You slanted all of the information and the referendum. Everybody wanted a new building. That's all that referendum alluded to was: do you want it or you don't want it? Not the design, not the size, not the thing. Okay. Just a yes or a no.
So here's the question. All right. Well, here's the question. It's there. What can I do about it? How's that impact this year's budget?
Because we think it's going to go down the road with all the other capital projects. You've already made up your mind on the food truck.
Absolutely.
That's already made up.
Yeah, but the board has to make the decision.
Yeah, but this gentleman had a lot of good information back here about all the other trucks that are around that we should bring it.
I know, agree. Listen, I'm not overly emotional about it. I'm giving you the facts on it. I wouldn't put it there if I didn't believe it. The board has the ultimate authority to put it in. Mr. Roeder, you had a question?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to thank you on Section 3 for the problem in it. With a larger pipe like Pinehurst help. Talking man works. The plan was also the larger some under the bill, which flows whole traffic out of the pond, and it would also not only somehow think I heard. You don't understand.
All right, the question is section 3, Sandy, I'm just repeating so everybody hears it. Drainage and Sandy Hook Beacon Hill pipes to increase in size. Are they in the budget? Is that correct? We have drainage in the budget. I can't tell you specifically off the top of my head if those 2 pipes are scheduled to be replaced. Here's what I can tell you though. We last year's budget, we requested a specific drainage crew. It got approved, so we had manpower associated, and some equipment to support that. Got approved. Through the process, as you said, you're starting to see some improvements with drainage, as we've had possibly back throughout the community where we've seen these improvements. We recently as this week, approved a drainage project pipe replacement on St. Martin's Lane that was unbudgeted, but we identified the need for it. So the board agreed to move forward. So I will tell you, drainage is top of mind for me, team, and for the board. And if it's budgeted or unbudgeted, there will be items that get missed in a budget of this size. We all know that. But then it's up to myself, the staff, to present to the board, or members to bring things up. Hey, we missed this. Could we look at this? And if there's something we need to do, we'll get fixing it. We're moving forward with the St. Martin's Lane project. That was specifically the type of project you're referring to, and it got approved unbudgeted, unfunded. Board said, yes, let's do it. So we are engaged aggressively and really trying to make those improvements. And they seem to be working, to your point. We've had a lot of positives this year.
So what I would like to ask, you are here, a number of your board members here, would you please either or go to your budget, and if in fact you have taken it out, not in there.
I hear your request. Well, no, I can't tell you we're putting a space. It goes stacked up with all the other requests in this area, drainage. That may be a priority for some, but there may be higher priorities for others. We are actively engaged in drainage. I just don't want to make a promise that I can't go for specific. And that's the only reason I can't say yes. If we continue to have drainage on the Sandy Hook, Beacon Hill, that area, section 3, we will continue to make the necessary steps to improve.
We've only had it.
And again, it's easy to make that statement. You understand the drainage. You made the comment. It's positive what we've done. Please assume that level of response will set our intent.
Well, I appreciate that. It's the time. But
okay.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Well, I'm really not going to hurt you this time.
Okay.
One real quick thing, but that's not what I want to mention. You want to take a statistical sample of the hot dog truck. I don't know if this is a statistical sample.
Probably not, because the energy gets created.
That's fine. Okay. You talk about Ocean Pines being a premier community. I think it's a...
don't say average, or I won't talk to you.
No, I'm not.
Okay.
We just all have definitions. If this is
fair
premier, then I've seen super premiers. Okay.
Okay.
And so we'll agree to that.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm not really complaining. I'm just suggesting some areas. If I were driving through this community for the first time, I look at ones in Delaware that they're putting up, and just like this place, I'm getting along with it too, so is it. And there's a lot of things here that are looking that way. The entrances when you start out, if I go up off of 24, 26, I go to a place called Bay Forest up there, beautiful, okay? I mean, they're beautiful. So they must be super, super premier. Granted, I can tell you that most of the time when I look up there, the assessments are higher than what we have here. So I agree with you as far as probably getting a lot for our money here. It's just if the whole budget here of millions of dollars, just mentioned about $55,000, that ain't bad.
I agree.
In fact, if I were you, I'd throw some of those things out every now and then so people get,
You don't think I do that?
Yes, I do.
I've learned that.
Well, some of the things, if we could beautify the entrances, and I'm not one of these that would save the so-called bridge on the north side because I don't think we need one. We got 2 little ponds where the pipe connects. So don't spend the money, but beautify it like we see off of 26 or 24. Get out, drive around if you haven't seen them. Take a look at the super premier communities. our mailboxes, and I know the mailboxes are the post office, and we got pads, and never the two ways shall meet. We stand in concrete and water. Our mail gets wet, and I can show you some mailboxes over there that the only thing that's holding those mailboxes up are the rivets riveting them to the other ones because the bottom's gone. Not a good impression. Favorite one is, could we ever find a room in our budget for a couple tons of grass seed? Everything in the median strips going down, everything in the entrances, we're doing a hell of a good job of mowing weeds. None of it looks like grass anymore. I'm just saying, it freshens things up. I'm calling beautification is what I'm saying. Optics. If you want to make it premier, it's going to have some of those things. We're going to be torn up as a community for a long time between gas right now, between water lines and all. I'm over in Wood Duck. It was interesting after they cut the holes in the road and they fill them with gravel temporarily. Then snowplow comes and leaves piles of gravel all over. That would be a premier community. Okay, and granted, this is all a timing thing. And then the last one I'm going to mention is we got to do something about the ponds. I'm in the Ocean Pines Anglers Club. Bring all those kids over there for teach a kid. We bring them over there for a fishing contest. And last year, just before that, because of the weather and because of our little friendly geese, we've got a polluted pond. We got polluted ponds there. In fact, the north pond, south pond, polluted. That's actually a health problem. And we've got to do something in that particular thing. Walking through goose poop, sitting up there and teaching these kids, it just doesn't cut it. And I understand there's people in this community that said, we got to save these 7 or 12 ducks. Or geese, rather. My only answer to that is I would support, even with getting contributions from other people, that we could put a fence around those people's yards and ask them how many do they want. Okay. I'm serious. And most communities have come up with dogs, coyotes. They've come up with things. There are methods to control that, and it is the non-resident geese that are causing the problem. It's not these ones that live around 20 weeks. Okay, so I'm just saying, if we're going to make it a super premier community, it would be nice if we could just spend a few bucks, doing some of those things. Beautification, even the signs going in. Teresa and I were trying to work on a new sign for Wood Duck, but I got was such a terrible design. And then when I do get that,
not from us.
No, not yet.
Not yet.
Then I have to run around. No.
Right.
I have to run around and see if the people in that community will do that. But it's those things. If you look around and say, this is what it could be, some of that beautification has just be a lot. Maybe there's a beautification committee or something. I know the Flower Club and those.
No, appreciate that. Let me hit some things just real quick to answer it.
That's enough, by the way.
Yeah, no,
That's not bad,
I'm
right?
with you. No, it's all good. If you remember, we replaced all those road signs 2 years ago and tried to upgrade those. Our focus, are we premier in everything we do? We're not. We all know that. We're not. I mean, there's things we need to improve on. I got that. But that's our focus. That's where we always try to plant the target. I'm not going to target on average. If that's where we want to be, the majority of the board has to change the vision of the community, and then we start driving in that direction. Okay. With that being said, I hear you. The ponds, I'm not in favor, wasn't in favor at the time of the changes to the ponds. I think we need to find a different solution. I'm not going to tell you that it's easy given the feedback and the intensity at which some people come back and return on the opposite side of the matter of the wildfowl. Okay?
You can't make everybody happy.
I understand, but again, now I do know there's a board member working as a liaison to the Environmental and Natural Assets Committee. He's working on getting some additional feedback, the results of what occurred last year. We're measuring that. He's requested we put some money in the budget for other potential solutions, okay? But they haven't been fully laid out or designed yet because it is such, we need to carefully go through and manage both sides of the expectation.
Well, again, you can't make everybody happy.
I'm
If you
well-
took a vote in this community, I think they would opt for a non-polluted, dangerous pond versus 6,411 geese.
I understand, Bruce. I understand. And I think, all right, let me do this. Okay, hang on. I promise I'll get to everybody. Let me take one or two on this side and I'll come back focused on this after. Sir?
Yeah, more of a suggestion.
Okay.
We were talking about the yacht club earlier.
Yes, sir.
You made a point of expressing how you got input and everything from the community on multiple occasions.
Yes.
I don't know anything about yacht clubs or service or restaurants. And, there's a saying, too many cooks can spoil the soup. I think in some cases, we don't need to get specific suggestions from community members because we might not know what we're talking about. I think the trick to it, though, is to identify professionals who have demonstrated that they know what they're talking about. Bring those folks in. And then when you're meeting with people from the community, you've got somebody, so when somebody says, I think there should be a third floor for us to park our boats on, you've got somebody who can say, well, we're probably not going to do that, and here's why. And they can give a reasonable explanation. Otherwise, I think we're still going to keep running into these situations where things are going to pop up that nobody's happy with, looking at it going, how did we end up here? So that's my suggestion.
And that's very good input. And just for clarification, what the process of building the yacht club, itself, the board actually wanted an architectural firm. The reason we went down the path we did, a little more expensive front. They wanted for exactly where you are, architectural firm and a kitchen design company. So it wasn't our opinion. We sought professional advice to get where we were. So that's a valid point. And the board did want that to occur with that building. And that did occur with that building.
But there's no sign saying it's a yacht club.
Okay. Jerry?
Back to the food wagon.
Okay.
Instead of doing that, you got the price on the outdoor kitchen, increasing the value of the building.
Okay.
So you could have, a limited version, you don't have to have the refrigerators and that. But to do it, fire and to put the sink, get a grease sink, and somebody, your ladies built around. And then the transmission won't go, it won't need oil changes, tires.
Sure. All right, the question is, have we considered adding an outside dining, limited kitchen outside the yacht club? Not because it limits to just, I think, understanding that the food truck's not designed primarily to service the yacht club. Okay, so if I build something else at the yacht club, I then don't meet any of the other needs we're trying to meet. It's a more global approach. That's why my answer is no, we don't.
Once you hide items, they stay hot. You get that with clear front on it. I've made at the yacht club. They're not busy. Really, they could be making hot dogs and hamburgers. Over where you go with the little kids, where it's landed. Nobody in there is going to eat shrimp. All there are is like one parent child, just be there with the child. They want to sell peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, so hot dogs and hamburgers. So why can't you just service food like that? Have something, have bowls.
Okay, thanks for the feedback.
Then you wouldn't have to worry about the big truck back here saying, at Mulker's Landing being at the yacht club. How do you take the truck and split it?
You don't. We have a whole schedule. We know we can't be in two places.
Right.
So, but I appreciate the input. Now we'll back to this side. Yes, ma'am. And I know you want to answer his. Okay. Yes, ma'am.
I mentioned, why can't you string with geese?
Okay. The question is, why can't we put a string across the?
I know you keep sound, but you can.
Okay, why can't you put a string across the pond for the geese control is the question. All those recommendations have been considered, and then a three-pronged approach was deployed last year, which came from the Environmental and Natural Assets Committee recommendation. So there are other other things that we also need to consider other than the string as well. And I'm going to come here and I'll come back this way. That's all right. Yes, sir?
Also, not your responsibility.
That's not my question. My question is how to make music.
All right,
If we had a new pad in those little boxes, and I know that they go dance the box. You know, I also know that the correctional liaison person with them. I bet you $1 a hole in donut if I go call that person, we would get you the box. That doesn't do the box.
No, when I'm tired of
And the brother did the same.
my postal service response and
There's no argument about that. But the box is also considered something that was fine.
But people could take the signs that people pasted on them, take them off. They're terrible. Right? Wood just doesn't have any.
Yes, sir. And
Yeah.
Marty, I'm going to try to do
A couple of quick questions. Have we eliminated this year in the budget inflation factor as part of the negotiation?
We have.
Have we?
Making sure. I knew we had, but I was.
And so we're using more or less the legacy reserves.
We got rid of that element last year, but we have to.
The second question is, are we considering or did we make a decision whether or not to start cover the investment in roads by way of depreciation recovery?
The board has not made a final determination on it.
Third, this is my concern, and I'll preface it with a comment so that people understand where I'm coming from. I was on the Budget and Finance Committee in 2006 or 2015. So it is not any current. One of the boards I worked with first, they set a budget. First board meeting, first month fiscal year, if they approved the budget, they passed a $900,000 capital. That was not in the budget, and it was not an emergency stuff. It was something they full cover. That concerns me when we have a lot of excess funds. Not that I distrust any board member, but I know people can make decisions. I do not like big cash reserve goes up unless there's specific things to do. And I'm addressing primarily the bulkhead reserve. So for those of you who are not aware, bulkhead reserve almost 85 cents a dollar is the only money in there that is not for overhead facility property. It is bulkheads that are on private property, where Ocean Pines implies they will take care of like bulkheads. They are that's money going in by the people that own the property that have bulkheads. They are not Ocean Pines bulkheads. Bulkheads own that property. But to maintain uniformity, we will maintain. You know, it looks good. It's like a premier community.
Wrap on that. Premier community.
There you go.
I knew we were going to get there.
We need premier residents.
Wow. You got that.
But anyway,
You might want to sit down now.
I'll get back to my when in prior years, and I can bore you with all the history.
Please don't.
I won't. But in the bulkhead reserve for the maintaining of the private, only 8% of the lineal footage of bulkhead is owned by OPA, and every single person in every 8,402 property pays $19 a year to maintain those bulkheads. But the rest of that money that's in that reserve is coming from that maintain their private bulkhead. In prior years, that's an in and out transaction. It doesn't affect operating income, and it doesn't affect CAC. And I don't understand for the life of us why we now have, and in past years, it would always go near a zero balance or a couple $100,000 over, right? And then we would just collect what we need from the bulkhead people. But now we're building up, we're carrying $1 million. As of December, we're carrying $1.5 million in that reserve. The footnote in the annual report about in May 2015 or April 2015, the footnote was wrong. Don't have a plan now. We're in the last couple of the current. One of the other, Mr. Renaud said, we'll wait until the reserve study. But in the meantime, there's this big pile of money that's implied to be used for our bulkhead. My only concern is some future boards, because boards change every year. I don't care what's decided by this. You get a free vote or 5 vote. That money could be spent on something else or somebody else's win. I am really concerned about the amount of dollars being accumulated. So I don't know that we still have to have the same contribution going into the reserve from bulkhead. My last point is that on the budget, there is a thing called an operating fund column. That was started because we had a $500,000 deficit, and we said we had to make that up. But we operated for years without an operating fund. We operated for years without an operating fund recovery reserve. My problem now that this is going on for about 6 or 7 years, it becomes a safety valve. In other words, we can create a budget, we can approve a budget, and if we don't make it, we'll just put more into the operating fund the next year. If we don't make the budget next year, we'll put more in the operating fund the next year. I think that it becomes a safety valve, and I don't think it has to be funded every year. I would like to see maybe we skip a year or two of funding that operating fund recovery reserve, and if necessary, maybe, just maybe, try sometimes to over budget the other way so that, maybe make some. You know what I'm saying? The operating fund reserve thing has become to me. We used to do when I was in.
Can I answer your question?
So we one last one. Just one last. You can answer them all, but I just when I was in capital budget in my prior world, we used to have a thing called contingency fund. We got rid of it because it became a sloppy way. It allowed the people that were proposing budget to say, "Oh, I'll just throw in a contingency." We got rid of it so that we said we want much tighter, much more focused and precise budget. And I think that's what the operating, a way of saying, if I miss it, we'll just collect that.
Okay, so let's answer. Don't point at specific members. It's not a member fund, so that's kind of a dig unnecessary. So let's answer your question.
Okay.
We have over 800,000 in bulkhead in the budget.
Right.
Okay, so it's not like we're not spending.
I know you're not.
But, okay. So we're not building a war chest for use. It's specifically identified for a bulkhead replacement. So it's not. Please be careful when you give the impression we're building a large amount of money.
Versus prior years, you are.
Please allow. Again, I'd love to answer your questions, but I let you finish. So it's based on the replacement. We have one more year for bulkhead replacement. Right. I've mentioned several times in recent months, and the board's agreed, we need to look at our strategy of whatever the next replacement strategy will be.
Right.
Many considerations have to go into that. A type of bulkhead, height of bulkhead. There's so many elements. We talked to the board. We talked about potentially putting a committee together to evaluate previous program, the impact of the program, future program of what bulkheads should look like, what the amount would be. Bulkheads overall represent 20 plus million, right?
24 million.
$24 million of assets in the community. So
on a replacement basis.
All right, let me finish.
Sorry.
This is where your debate falls But with 24 million in assets, we have to release a portion of the funding coming in so we don't end up dramatically short on a critical element that protects the community. Now, I think when they reevaluate in a year or two of the strategy, a new strategy may come in place. We may reduce it, we may change the percentage. I'm fine with all that. No issue there. Your point's noted, and it will be looked at. But we're not building a war chest. We're not building up tons of.
Okay. There's only 24 million. It was only 24 million. Why are you throwing, what is your ending balance going to be at the end of next year?
I'll pull my $1 billion. Thank you. So fine. Again, I've explained it to you. You and I disagree on this, and I'm okay. Thanks for the input. It was Mark. I'm sorry.
I wanted to answer him.
Let me go to Mr. Clark. He said his hand up and then put it down like 10 times. So, thanks for the input. Okay,
I'm just trying to get you off food trucks.
I thought we were on bulkheads. Now you bring it up. Okay, go ahead.
Everybody's so concerned about a $55,000 food truck. That's $6.06. Nobody's concerned about the 8-year or 5-year never approved funding plan or slush fund, whatever you want to call it. Now it's called major facility solution. It's equal to $146. I think that we're focusing on the marbles and fast.
Yes, ma'am.
Talk about bulkheads. We were flooded out again this past weekend. I put $12,000 into that bulkhead fund, and I'm waiting for somebody to do something about it.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
Don't say food truck. Don't do it.
I'm going to go in a whole other direction.
That doesn't mean to look into it. Let's go with that answer. Can I move?
No.
Go ahead.
The ramp, launching ramp proposed, did a great job last year. Yes. I asked you about time and time again about putting gate registration card to keep it for Ocean Pines owners or the hundreds of commercial people that are going to drop boats in there starting in March and April, get a fee from them, and pay for that ramp. I mean, pay for the stuff you put in. Why can't we get, have you looked into the gate with the key cards? It's really simple. And, number, like I said, the community that had property in on the other side of the bridge had one. It's some way of recouping some cash. You got hundreds of marinas, people that have boat places that are going to start dumping boats in. You got crabbers that are putting their boats in there. It's so simple. It would be less money than food. There you go.
Well, as I've shared many times, we have done several surveys of those dropping off. We've had people sit. The Marine Advisory Committee's done it for us. We've had some of our staff do it, where they do a survey of those dropping, who's launching boats at our sites. The overwhelming majority of those being launched. Yes, I agree there's commercial, but the majority of those are commercial dropping our boats. So even though we say it's a significant concern, when we actually do the measuring, someone sits out there, checks who's dropping boats, inquires where they live, where they're from. Yes, people can lie, I got it. But in general, the vast majority, overwhelming majority, are for our members. It wasn't the other way, which was our primary concern. So we have analyzed it multiple times, and since the majority of the use is for our members, from our members, it's not, in our opinion, wasn't a large enough concern to make a change. Now, it's not said Board has not considered either a gate or the swipe card, much like up at the Smitty McGee's area has the swipe card. So it's not an initiative that's been a priority item. The reason we're not doing it, it's not a priority. While some believe it's a majority of the board did not, so therefore we have not. But
I'll be happy to bring the guy from Mid-Atlantic to tell you how many votes are fines and how many are not.
I appreciate that. We've had, again, okay. Thank you for your input.
Not all Ocean Pines.
And tell Tom Kerry I didn't raise that.
Yes, ma'am.
And I have names might save you a lot of headaches.
I love the head of health.
But I don't know if right this minute, time to say function.
Are they budget related or?
Not yet.
You've been waiting, so if you want to hit a couple topics, go ahead.
Well, I just have a
Oh, a whole list?
Well, actually, it's about a meeting that the board members are going to have Friday.
Yes. Oh, yes, ma'am.
The North Gate.
Yes. There's a meeting Friday that she's referring to with the developer of the Northgate Medical Center that the board has agreed to meet with Mr. Gillis and hear out what his, he has some concerns, proposals, what have you, I don't know what it is yet, that he'd like to, he asked to come meet with, and the board has agreed to meet with him. We are going to meet Friday the 5th at 9 a.m. Here. Where do we find this? Here. Anybody remember? Boardroom. Thank you, boardroom.
And the real issue is access to.
Again, he's requested a meeting with us. Our board's going to entertain it. So yes, that's a meeting, and I'll come back to your question, Joe.
Did you confirm?
I did.
Had said 10. Committee, the community want to be there. Change it now.
We did, and we sent it out yesterday.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I got it. He responded almost within a half hour, which was great. So the board requested to move it to 9. We moved it to 9. And I'll let you finish. Yes, ma'am. Other?
Oh, well, I had something written down that I wanted to say, because I know we're
About that topic?
about that
The
topic.
meeting on Friday will be an open meeting. You will have the opportunity, because it is an open meeting with an agenda, that would be the time when you present that and read it in its entirety with any concerns you have, and the entire board will be.
What people should know, he wants to put a 2-lane road behind that pond.
Again, that was the approach he had before. I understand. No, so Friday would be the time, because you'll have direct attention from the board hearing the issue specifically.
Where is the board?
Right there, right in the admin. Right in the admin building right across the
Would it
street.
fit everybody in there?
I don't know how many people are coming, so. Yes, sir.
Permissible to have a personal hot dog.
Is it permissible to have a personal hot dog cart for sale?
No, it's my personal use, only if it's decorative.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well, be very decorative.
To have a personal, you're not selling to the public. That would go through the ARC committee. Again, I can't give you a defense. You're throwing something out, trying to throw me a curveball. I'm fouling it off right now. Is what I'm doing. Okay, you're trying to put me in a corner on this. I'm not. I knew that. All right, strike 2. Let's go.
The other thing is you have a $5 million wedding. Okay. Yeah. I can't. The hot dog truck might be a good idea, but I can't get the hot dog yacht club because it's outside. My wife and my friend told to get in the building because there's a wedding. Okay.
A different, and we're not going to talk about that. That's careful. We're talking completely past that. That's an individual situation. It's been discussed. It should not be you don't want a public discussion on it. That's inappropriate, and I'm not going to go. Next question. Okay.
My question didn't get answered.
Oh, no, that one correct. You would look at the ARC guidelines. If you want feedback, you can pull it up on the website. It shows ARC guidelines. I'm not sure having a hot dog you presented, or you could do it and you might get a violation, or you could read the rules of what you're allowed to have in your yard. I don't know. It's never been proposed to me in our premier community that someone set up a hot dog stand in the front yard.
Premier hot dog.
Right there. Okay. Is it about a budget, Miss Anna?
No, it's not.
I didn't think so. That's all right. Go ahead.
No, I want to tell you, I was really excited. We had this terrible snow, and the Parks and Recreation, the Works Department, did an excellent job clearing our roads, that we weren't stuck in the house for a whole week.
Thank you,
So I
Ms.
just
Anna.
want to comment about that. And you're doing a great job, Bob. I have to say.
Thank you, Ms. Anna. Ms. Rhodes?
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to get to the topic the lady brought up. The president of PRMC has made a very strong public facility, you'll notice some concrete that has been laid, that is an open path, goes right over the path. So what I'm trying to lead up to is that lady runs PLMC would not have had to call go out and book, say we're going to have 5 facilities, knowing that the state highway department is probably not going to put a traffic light out by 9. Exit off ramp,
Understood.
Speed.
Okay.
So my concern is, question: has Gilkerson already cut it
With
you or any member of the board that would in fact allow that app put in place?
no, there's been no deal cut. There's been no consideration, no solution, nothing. I believe it's going to come make a presentation Friday based on the concerns that have been raised. We're going to hear whatever that solution.
Well, all I can say is give my compliments to Mr. Gilkerson, because he has tremendous big balls
That
to say.
All right,
that he
little
can
off
go out,
budget.
make
Little
that-
off budget.
Make that 5 billion commitment
Fair enough.
without having made any deal.
Fair enough. All right.
You should have a great meeting.
And I'll go.
I just want to give you an opportunity to keep real quick. The yacht club, how's the banquets, how are the weddings and things lined up this year compared to last night?
Ooh, good question. I don't have the exact numbers. We're very successful with the wedding banquet event. And I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I apologize for that. I appreciate the layup, but I just don't have it. Listen, I got it. Trust me. But so much so that, as most should know by now, we were named the top catering banquet facility in the area, which was a huge kudo for us from an outside magazine firm that reviews all these. So that's an area where we're having a lot of success.
I want to tell you, you're going to have to, that's, now adding to every ladies' policy, you're adding facilities all over, so that's just something.
No, that's a good point.
No,
I appreciate it. Yes, sir.
Following up on the Gilkerson, is that his name?
Yeah.
I won't be
Palmer
able to,
Gillis.
I won't be able to be here.
Palmer Gillis is the
I
gentleman,
understand.
and Gillis Gilkerson.
I see this as he's problem number 2, in the sense that there's going to be a few people along there that bought property not knowing what's going to go behind it. They're going to complain, and you may listen to them. The other side of that story that I've heard, and I don't know if it's true, is he was willing to redo the front. I mean, they have a dual lane it may be going out. We could put in the new entrance that I said beautification. State Highway said that if Ocean Pines did certain things, they would do something on the exit ramps. There's a lot to be gained, perhaps, by the majority if he's willing to bite that cost. I mean, I hate circles, but even if they put a circle or something, I don't know. But again, you're going to have the same problem that you had before. There's going to be the ones that are directly impacted at that meeting, I hope, I assume. And you're going to have this gentleman, hopefully, do go with any place. We extract a whole heck of a lot from him for the value of what he's got. But State Highway, I was at a meeting with them. Maybe it was here, I don't remember. They're basically not going to do anything but keep an eye on it.
That's what the meeting they presented to us. I believe there'll be a state highway administrative person at the meeting on Friday. As one of the participants.
The other thing, back on the bulkhead just for a second, I think what Gene is saying, and I'll use this year as
I'm
just
familiar with what Gene.
Yeah, we're collecting $822,000. We got almost $830,000, of which we're going to spend $670,000. That puts another $150,000 in. At the end of the year, after we finished our requirements, we still have a year and maybe 2 months worth of money in there. Gene's saying that should just flip over. The real question is how much should we keep in reserve? So it's back to your reserve study, because we wouldn't mind having a holiday on that 1 year. You know what I mean?
Understood.
And it wouldn't hurt you.
I'm not arguing that whatsoever. I'm saying
I think
the
that's
board
what
is
Gene's
aware.
saying.
And trust me, I know. He beats somebody
Well,
all the
and
time with it.
that is almost 1/5 of our reserves in Ocean Pond.
Gotcha.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You had your hand up.
Yeah, changing the menu. Yeah, but there's terrible I'm sorry.
Again, I
We're doing better.
Restaurant. Another thing, we don't have happy hour yet, but we're in the week. But with a lot of people go to happy hour, so you're losing money that way because they're going to Taylor. Everybody goes to Taylor because we don't have the facility over here. We have a facility, but it's not ran correctly because nobody's interested.
Okay,
So
well,
we're
we're
losing
close.
money, and we've got a beautiful water view. What if we had to look at Taylor? We get to look at 5, maybe, so maybe that's a good suggestion.
Well, we're closed during the week, so you couldn't get service here either.
But summertime you're open.
Okay.
For
I thought
dinners,
you're
right?
referring to now, yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we
for
open
summer.
the dinner at 3 o'clock. People like happy hour. I see a lot of Ocean Times. Everybody does different happy hours.
Sure.
Just, make money that way. Instead of the food truck. I mean, if you look at the appetizers. We don't have like fried shrimp. We got onion rings. But we don't have anything decent. And you're going to put this in a food truck? That doesn't make any sense.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am. And I'll take a couple more and then we'll wrap up. And so,
How come the meeting wasn't told? Nobody
What
knows
meeting?
about it.
Friday.
Friday's meeting.
well, A, we're telling you now. B, it's been put out
Where?
on the internet.
On the internet, I didn't see them on it.
Yesterday.
Now,
Did
we're-
it go out?
Okay.
Yeah, so we'll post it up. We just got the time approved. But we're not hiding the meeting. Guys, it was just requested. The board heard it out, said, yes, we'll meet.
Okay.
There's no secret to this one. Okay. Yes.
But what happens when you have elderly people that aren't accessible to internet? Why don't we put an advertisement on the meetings? I didn't know nothing about this meeting today.
Okay.
Because I'm not one of these people. And on here you see these signs. You go through the times. You've got advertisements.
We do.
Baby massages and stuff like that. Why don't you put the community come in?
Ma'am, we're putting it out on the marquees. We put it on the internet. Okay, I'm telling you, we do. I know for a fact. Okay. Mr. Clark in the back.
Just a quick suggestion. It's really 5,000 act gross by the plan. Commodore brought forward.
Okay.
What I know. Have they been notified? I mean, they deserve a phone call.
We just said the meeting yesterday. Feel free to call public. So where's the camera on me? Meeting Friday. I mean, I'm trying. I understand. Trust me, I've been contacted by them already. I'm getting the call. Okay. And I'll go this way and back this way, Gene.
Yeah, just one process comment. If it's possible, have the draft budget put on the internet about a week for this meeting, because we keep saying that the book is available in the lobby, but that doesn't help the 50% or so of the membership who don't live here, and maybe when it comes to the meeting, they can't access it. So I would say that once the board had its first shot at it, it goes up on the internet.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
you. Yes, sir, ma'am.
That Two-Lane Road one back, everybody is in the gate coming in between the speed department, because I'm saying turnout is going to be possible.
No, the statement was everyone coming out of the North Gate is going to be impacted with any changes there as with the medical. Understood. Yes, ma'am.
And just make reference to where you said so many houses, just 5. Well, we live on Donna.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're not one of the 5. If it wasn't for those 5, we need that. I'm certain.
Okay.
The water and sewer was hooked up on Donna. Okay. When they got done hooking up the water and sewer,
yes, ma'am.
The pipes broke on Dawn Isle, and we have water shooting up out of the ground, and our toilet is getting muddy water in now. So it does impact our houses, and if they start to impact Seafarer and other houses, and they have flooding issues, and there's a whole.
Understood. I don't think, and I can't believe I'm going to say this. I really can't, but I don't think Mr. Clark meant it only directly. He understands. He was on the board when we heard this before. He understands it impacts more than 5 residents. He just meant the ones directly behind them, since several of them are in Florida right now.
Yeah.
I know that because I've been contacted.
So they would destroy the woods there, all that's gone.
Again, well, please understand, folks, we had the opportunity to buy that property and chose not to. A third-party developer has now bought it, he's developing. So, I mean, you're right. So we're hearing it out. We're going to hear him Friday. We'll hear what his input is, and then our board, if there's any action they need to take, they can. You had a question, sir?
Yes. Tom Piatti, 13 Chatham Park. Talk about using the yacht club, talk about meetings.
Yes, sir.
I thought we had money for signage put out on 589 that announced these things, or maybe stimulate people. I'm going out to dinner. Let's go to the yacht club. What happens?
Yeah, we have $40,000 budgeted for one electronic sign to be in the budget. We're having some challenges with some of the. I don't want to blame anywhere. There's a permitting process you have to go through to get approval to do any type of sign, let alone digital signage. We're exploring we're exploring what needs to be done to accomplish that. I'm a proponent of signage. Okay, I like getting the word out. I would do, just so you know, my perspective. I put in the budget for several years. I would do 3 electronic signs, one at each of our main entrances, to get as much information to our membership as we can. So I'm for it. There's just a challenge with the process to get us there. That's all. Yes, sir.
You put neon sign.
Well, actually, I thought about the big white lights with the Batman figure, but I was going to do my face one like this. Anybody else? All right. I thank you all for your time Saturday morning. Appreciate the input.